Now, into this gable end wall, which is drying pretty quickly, we must put on some stone impressions. So I'm going back to the light red of the slate colour or the roof colour. Now, just the odd stone here and there, you just mark them in like so. The wash may still be a little bit wet, but if they spread slightly, it doesn't matter. It softens the edge of the stone. We pop them in, one there, and then we must stagger them underneath. You can see that that is spreading slightly, but that just softens the edge of the stone. Now, whatever you do, try and paint every stone, because we don't need to show every stone. We just indicate that the wall is stone. So a few here and there is all we need. So we continue with this technique along this wall, the gable end of the little shed, and the wall that's in shadow at the back of the shed, plus the wall of the old schoolhouse itself. I've continued to complete all of the dark lines underneath the eaves of the house. In this area, you have a dark line that runs underneath the tile. Then there was a little grate on the wall there, a ventilation grate, I put that in, and two more here and here. There's some dark lines underneath the eaves of the main schoolhouse and underneath the ridge tile as well. The chimney pots I've put in, a couple of dark things here. I don't know what they are. They must be wall supports or something like that, but I've put two circles there for that, and some dark lines to indicate a little gate just as you go through the entrance. I've put on some dark green grass bits here to show where the field ends and the wall begins. Now that takes us across to the big tree on the right-hand side, and that has lots of branches whipping across the house that are going to break the painting up, but at the same time, they're going to be very effective. So let's get on with that now. I need to change brushes. Let's get back to the number 8 round. And I'm going to mix lots of water into a tray. I'm looking for a brownish colour. So let's use raw sienna. I don't want to go too dark too soon, so I'm using quite a light coloured paint. That's raw sienna with some ultramarine. There's a sort of a brownish grey, but I want it to be lighter than a dark brown. So let's go on to the tree. We can just brush upwards. Now, because it's raw sienna and it's a yellowish tone, we're going to have a green hint off the colour. So that's fine. There's moss on the trunk of the tree, and that's brushing up and filling out the root of the tree there, just where it disappears into the grass. We'll be going over this here with a darker paint to show that there's texture on the tree and that the tree is actually round. But first of all, we must start with a light colour, and that comes right up and out of the painting at the top. Now, the sunlit side is the right-hand side, so that's going to be the lightest. I'm just coming down there, giving a nice straight edge, not necessarily straight, but a definite edge to the tree itself. Coming back down to the root, and then I can mix a darker paint using light red and ultramarine. Now, the more light red I put in, the more brown the mixture is. Just using the paints to balance the colour, go to one first, then the other, until you finish up with the colour you need. Coming down, giving a definite edge to the left-hand side of the tree. And if I flick the brush across, like that, you can make one colour bleed into the other. We keep darkening the left-hand side of the tree, because that's the shadowed side. Now, I'm going to thicken that mixture once more with more light red and more ultramarine, because I want a darker colour again. There, that's nice and dark now. More blue makes it darker. So I'm coming back to the left-hand side of the tree, coming down the left-hand side and flicking out into the medium strength wash to give a dark side to the left-hand side and bleeding into the centre. Back to the tray again just to get more paint, and we come down showing that there are roots going into the grass. Again, there's a dark side to this root coming from the centre, there's a dark side to this one, and we must break the end. Leave some space there for grass to grow up against the roots of the tree. We'll have a bit of a dark root in there. more grass growing up into the roots. And then flick this across to show that that root is continuing up into the trunk of the tree. Because at the minute it looks as if the tree's broken, but if we fill up that space, we get rid of that look. Now, just feeding in some raw sienna there to blend the colors together, and I don't want to lose the light of the trunk of the tree. There's a light side. Some stripes on the tree for that rough bark that we have on it. A realistic texture. Now, to the left of the bottom of the tree, we have a big branch that comes out and grows right up through the painting. So that's the next one. Going into the raw sienna and ultramarine to give me the same mix as I had before. And coming out from behind the tree, I'm leaving a little space here because I don't want to touch that wet wash. So I have to leave a space for now until that wash is dry. And that's a big thick branch coming out of there from behind that tree. And it's getting thinner as it rises. Don't have it straight. Well, I think that's quite enough branches. It's very easy to go ahead and put in too many. But there's a couple of other little ones that I want to show you. And first of all, we're going to join up the branches that we left spaces in. So there's a little space there. Just fill that in and then blend that out with the brush. Now, this branch is quite thick and there's other branches coming off it. So I want to show you just how to do that. If you come up out of that branch and then taper out as you go up and then flick off it. But always flick off from the left-hand side and do a couple of other little branches just to show that it's not just one, that there's more growing out each year. Now, moving up here, we can take one out of the right-hand side. And if we come out of there, and just with the point of the brush, flick upwards. Get a nice point on the brush. If the brush hasn't got a point, you're going to get a very wide branch. There we are. That's all we need. You just need to show 2 or 3 flicks on it. I'm just going to thin this down and darken that whole branch so that it doesn't look as if it's stilted. There we are. Blend that all in so that it looks as if it's all the one color. Coming right down, blending that one in. You can see that there's a bin sitting against the wall. I've painted it blue. Now there's another box sitting beside that. It's a very dark box, but what I'm going to do is change the color of that box to red because it leads it's like a magnet leading the eye to that point if you make it red. And then the eye will go beyond the wall through the gate and discover what's on the other side of the wall. That leads the imagination into the painting. So I'll wash the brush and just block that in as a red box. Well, I think you'll agree that that red box is a little bit more interesting red than it would be black. But there's only a couple of birds to go into this painting and it's finished. So a bit of light red and ultramarine, and we put the birds just flying home to roost over the chimney of the house. Well, that's the birds in. Now, the secret to any watercolor painting, or any painting of any description, is mixing colors. So let me show you a few examples of some of the colors I use. That was over 100 colors, and all from 9 originally. Now, what I suggest you do is practice mixing colors. It's the most important thing you'll ever do. In any green, yellow is the dominant color. The blue that I would mostly use for mixing greens is Windsor blue. So I'm putting in a little bit of Windsor blue into the green. Greens are a color that a lot of people have problems with. And if you'll notice from earlier, there wasn't one green in my palette. And it takes a lot less blue than yellow to make a green. If I want to darken that green, it's very, very simple. So I'm going to add more blue to that green. Do you see how blue the green can get? We can't always paint with those colors. We need to add some light red to give a green earthiness whenever we're painting things in the landscape. So what I suggest you do is add some light red to any of the 3 mixes or 4 mixes that we've used. and another bit. We might as well change it quite a bit. But if I add more water, I can thin it out even more, and the wash just keeps getting lighter and lighter. Now just take a look at the painting and the green foreground in the painting and how many colours are in there. There's light greens, dark greens, mid-tone greens, all mixed without a green in the palette. And then the stone wall, you have reds, blues and oranges. And the same up on the roof of the house and those beautiful tile roofs. But you're still going to have colours influenced by elements outside the painting. The shadows are going to turn your reds blue. You're going to have shadows on the side of your stonework that look blue. There's so many colours within a painting. What I've been doing today is introducing you to some of the basic techniques that you will need to learn to paint watercolours. Now, what I suggest you do is put some of the ideas I've shown you today into practice and you'll improve rapidly. But remember, it is only with practice that one can succeed in any medium.
Now available to buy. Try these techniques at home whenever you wish. The extended DVD of today's workshop is now available from the Painting and Drawing channel. For further information and to order your copy, go to www.paintingdrawingchannel.com.